Hello, universe. How are you? I'm worn out. It's been a very long day. And I say that because I haven't really slept much since yesterday's video. In fact, none since the, oh gosh, well, how long was it? None since the None since then. I got 2 hours of sleep yesterday, from 4 to 6, and then I haven't slept since then. And it's now around 6:30 on Wednesday, and I've been at that prison for a better part of about 8 hours. Yeah. This plan I set up, or this new approach, is not going to work. It's not going to work. I was so frustrated today. So frustrated today. Bill is such a good team member and such a hard worker. I don't know how I'm failing to communicate certain things. I'm not doing it right because I'm adjusting certain items in the machine, and because I don't want to have a stale face on the machine, meaning I don't want the plan. Inventing what we have is a concept called planogram, which exists in convenience stores as well, but in the planogram essentially means the layout of the machine. Column 1, Cheetos. Column 2, Fritos. Row 2, column 1, Doritos. And down the line, across the board. And one of the things that I do is create a lot of variety. And I change the planogram every 90 days or so, because I'm trying to make sure it doesn't stay stale, and the customers see something a little different. In locations like non-contact and contact visitation areas, I don't change the planograms as much because all three machines have something different in them, and it is a complete representation of everything I sell, chip-wise and snack-wise, pretty much across the board. Okay, so I don't change that a lot. Whereas in places that have two machines, obviously I carry a more selective version of it. And then in locations where I only have one snack machine, I carry an even more selective listing of items. Usually the best sellers. So I was trying to change what was in the machines in the trustee camp area. And I told him not to change prices. I told him to fill the machine based on the new list. Well, he started moving things around, and I thought I had already mentioned, you don't need to move anything. Just put the stuff in based on how the new planogram is arranged. Just put it in based on that. That's all you need to do. Don't change any prices. You don't need to move anything. Just put the stuff in according to the way it is on the paperwork. And Bill is more of a machine sometimes and just looks at what's there and puts in there what's in the machine. So if he sees Fritos, he'll put Fritos in. He didn't pay attention to the list. And this is a problem that he and Roy both run into from time to time. I think they get annoyed by changing with pattern, but sometimes people don't realize that patterns become stale and there's a different view necessary. And I don't think it's just them. I think it's a lot of people who end up being the service techs in the industry as far as, filling the machines. They're such great workers. And when I do ask them to change certain prices, they do it well. They really do. But when you throw a bunch of everything at once, it more wears them out. But today was really, really wearing. And not because of them. That was a very minor thing I just mentioned. But as I mentioned yesterday, I think, we fill the machine. I took the inventory lists from the last 2 months, basically, and did an average on how much each column and each slot in the machine needed, on average. And that just couldn't have been further off. Not to mention the fact we weren't doing an inventory list. We were simply stocking and doing some robbings of the machines, which means taking the money and such. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It's just overwhelming and time-consuming and irritating. Way too irritating. Especially because of the excess inventory that we had left. Because in areas where I decided we were going to take 8 chips in a baked variety because of the way their sales looked, they needed 3. So I had 5 more than I needed. And in certain areas where I thought we needed to take 4 chips of a certain kind, they needed 12. And then what happens is you have to start digging through your other drawers to make sure that none of that stuff is whatever you have left from the other machine is still there. So you can use that. And that is a wear, my friends. That is a wear. Beyond levels of belief. And it took so much time. So we are going to go back to what works. And I know ultimately I'm going to leave the Ellis unit And I know ultimately it is going to cost me more. But I don't care. My mom reminded me of something. I talked to her a little while ago. And we had a little discussion about something because I was saying how I don't understand, mostly because I'm tired, but Mark and another colleague of mine, Jesse, excuse me, my throat's dry, they both service their machines one day a week, with the exception of Saturdays when they go back in and they go back in and have to do it on the weekends at, like the Darrington. Like Jesse works at the Darrington, for example. He doesn't go in on Saturday nights. Whereas Mark at his unit, well, the units I'm going to be taking over, he actually does go in on a Saturday night. And as a result of that, he takes in product on Saturday night and refills the machines. Sorry, I'm not sure what to think. Anyways, so essentially, they load once a week, minus a Saturday visitation for Mark at Ferguson, right? So, anyways, the point is that what's my point? Oh, anyways, but they only carry limited supplies. I'm trying to get back on track. I'm sorry. So they only carry limited supplies. They carry 12 kinds of chips. So in Mark's example,